Welcome to today's live stream. And if you have clicked on this video, it's because you want to use Canva like a brand designer, not just for dragging templates, not just for slapping elements everywhere, but actually designing with intention, clarity, and confidence. Then you have landed in the perfect place. This is the place where you need to be. Let me tell you something real. Most people who open Canva, they design like beginners. Yes, they design like beginners, not because they are not talented, but because no one ever taught them how brand designers they think. So today I'll tell you how brand designers think. And most people who open like brand design is about choosing a pretty font. It's not about picking a cute color, and it is definitely not about copying trending templates. So brand design is a strategy, and it is a communication. It is a storytelling. It is solving problem visually. And today, for the next hours that I'm going with you, I'm going to take you a step by step into the mind of a professional brand designer, my field, which I'm specialized in logo and brand design. So by the end of this video, by the end of this session, I'm sure you won't just know how to use Canva, but you'll understand how to think like a designer. And that is the real power. And here's what we'll be diving for today into today. We'll talk about the brand fundamentals, the things that 90% of Canva users don't think about, that brand purpose, brand personality, brand voice, and even the flow of work, the secrets that make designers look both expensive and intentional. So this is the thing. I'll not forget about the color mastery. You'll be able to to know how the color mastery, how brand designers they build palette and they don't guess them. They build colors. So another thing we'll be talking today is about mood board, the visual compass that guides the brand identity of the brand guideline. The brand identity creation will try to look for some logo variations, spacing rules, color system, and even we'll get a bit on client ready presentation because the design is only good at how you present it. Then we'll get to the professional trick that design school they charge thousand of money or a huge sum of money to teach, but we'll get in here free for today, today live. So listen, this is not about a boring tutorial. This is a practical. It will be so much hands-on, and it will be giving you the exact thought process I use in real client process. User, someone who can confidently say, yes, I not just how to drag them here and then drag here, drop there. So someone who can build visual consistent. This is the thing that you're talking beautifully, and your pen, even water, coffee, or whatever to make you awake and inspired. Because in the next minutes that will be okay, we're going to change your entire approach in when it comes to design. So you are about to step into a world where Canva is not just a simple drag and drop tool, but a professional workspace. Okay, so let's go. So what does it mean to design like a brand designer? So what it means to design like a brand designer? All right, what it means to design like a brand designer is this: to warm up. That have been warming you up, and let's part most people skip because you don't even touch a font. Before you pick a color, before you drag an element into a design, you need to understand that what it means like a brand designer. You must be able to take a field research in your area because Canva by itself doesn't make you a designer. Photoshop doesn't make you a designer. Then AI tools, it won't make you a designer, but your thinking will make you a designer. So you're thinking that, and I will explain it in a very human way. So as most Canva users, they don't have the app immediately. Like they don't open the app immediately and say that let me find a nice template. What can I make you look beautiful today? Or can I make this color to look cute? Let me use it. This font look fun and I'll put it here. This is decoration of something. Because that's a beautiful, chaos, nice, but not intentional way. So brand designers they usually think in a different way. When brand designers open a blank page, like when you open a blank page, then their brain goes into a strategy mode before getting yourself into creativity mode. So you must get yourself in strategy mode because a real brand designer, he asks questions. He asks questions like, what problem am I solving visually? I want this problem that I'm solving. You know, if you're a brand designer, you are a problem solver. That's the thing you're able to know. You are solving people's problems. So every design a problem. Clarity, trust, attention, differentiation. These are things you must be able to know. Remember that design is communication, not just decoration, because it communicates. That design that you are creating, it must communicate. So, who is this for? You don't design for yourself. That's the thing. You are designing for a person. And your favorite colors, they don't matter. As a designer, it cannot be the favorite color for the class. Your favorite color, it does not matter. Your audience is the one that decide the style on which they use and what emotion should this brand trigger. If you're creating something, then what emotion do this brand trigger? Could it be more? These are things my brand really trigger because visual element must match that emotional. What rule must remain constant? Yourself when you are creating this design, there are some rules that must remain constant. The first one is the white spacing, or I can simply call it spacing. Those are the things you need to consider. The font, there's some fonts that you cannot use it when you are delivering a project for a party and when you are delivering well in your brand. Colors that really communicate or pass a message well. So those are you should ever consider when it comes to colors. You must be able to know that this some colors they evoke energy. There's some colors that evoke energy. There's some colors that they bring different. There are some colors that they bring peace, something like that, something of the sort. Those are things you must be able to know. The other thing is shapes. Shapes you must never leave behind. Shapes. So when it comes to shapes, when I'm referring to shapes, like shapes, different types of shapes have it has different they communicate in a different manner. So those are the things you need to know when you're delivering what such a thing. Then the layout structure. The layout structure. What do you want this type of design to be? Its layout. Another one. You must never avoid that and keep that in mind that the layout structures matters a lot when it comes to brand design or delivering. Then the image size. These are the things that when you are delivering this fashion and yeah, like these are the things. Like, what is your brand story? What it is really about your brand? Technology, in fashion, so fashion and design. So from outside, like they design from the outside in. And the brand designers, they design from inside out. Are you able to understand? Like Canva user, there's a difference between a Canva user and outside in. But what about the brand designers? They design, example, source can grasp the concept when I'm talking about that. Okay, so a Canva user and a brand designer. These are two different people. Into detail to them so as you can able to know who am I talking when I'm saying that this is a brand designer. So a Canva user, he can see a nice font and he uses it for font represent personality. Do they represent the brand personality? Okay, so does it create the emotion that we want? So then after that, after they have doing their task, that's when they choose their font. A Canva user picks color that look good. They just pick a color that they look good. But what about the brand designer? He's a professional in the field. So a brand designer chooses, it matches the psychology of the brand. It matches the industry very well. And they chooses a color that it creates contrast. So, so that's the difference when it comes to a Canva user and a brand designer. They know how to work well with these people. Then a brand designer, they tell the brand story and they work in both the digital and the print. Like they have the knowledge in what when it comes to digital transformation of something, and when it comes to the printing of a document. Okay, so these are things you must be able to consider when it comes to that. Like a Canva user, they can try random layout, but what about a brand? A brand designer uses an invisible grid, like just basically like he's just structured himself, alignment rules, focal hierarchy. So their thinking is completely different from others. So why this matters for you? You must be able to know that why does this matter for you today? So by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to open a Canva design with intention and not just guesswork. You'll think like someone who understands what is branding, and you'll move and you'll and you'll move someone who knows what they are doing, and you'll work instantly to look more professional. And the people will look at your designs and say things like, wow, you are leveled up. Wow, you feel clearer, cleaner. And you're thinking like a real designer because you are designing with purpose. So here's the truth that nobody could tell you. It's not about having the best tools. It's about the fanciest software. It's about copying trends that looks on Instagram. It's about intention, having clarity, having consistency, having strategy, having that decision making. And once you master this, you can design professional even with the basic tools today. So, and today I'm going to show you how to apply all that in and because Canva is not the limitation, you're thinking is the limitation. You must be able to know that. Able to grasp something. I'm not forcing someone to be here, so you may just scroll if you're not able to understand what I'm able to speak. You must be able to abide with the community and the rules guideline about here. No one has forced you to be here, so okay. So let's get into Canva interface overview. All right, let's open Canva, and before we start dragging anything, I want you to understand the interface like a real designer, because most people treat Canva like a toy and not a tool. They never touch the advanced features. They properly or can in a different and approach. Okay, I the eyes. But what about the brand designer? So when you turn on tools, you will immediately professional. So your design looks 10 times more professional. Templates looks good because these designs they use invisible structure too. So there is the power of custom page size. Like, what are the custom size of the pages? You can create a design, be it custom. Like most you may find this type of design is custom, and most beginners ignore this and chooses maybe preset size. But brand designers they always think in terms of exact dimension, aspect ratios, print versus like print and digital use, both the use and the sizes, the large format dimension, brand consistency across all platforms. For an Instagram, it may like getting something for an Instagram. The difference you must be able to understand when you are creating something from that. Then we have the brand kit, and this is your beginners. Like this is your design spread. When you have your brand kit, like your brand kit, this is where you build your brand colors, typography system, colors, everything. This is where you can able to build everything from scratch in your brand kit. Okay, so that is the brand kit. Brand kit, that's the brand colors, typography, logos, templates, the rules that the brand system should, like the brand system. And them forever. So your brand kit becomes your visual identity game. Like your brand kit is your vision. Let me say that your brand kit, even for a client work, you may create something, a brand kit for every client. You may separate those typography sets, build multiple palettes, logo connection. This is how professional work fast and we keep things in a consistent manner. Okay, so when you're a, especially if you're a brand designer, you must be able to arrange your files in a more applicable way. You must organize your files using folders. You may create folders for clients, you may create folders for brand assets, you may create folders for mockups, templates, social medias, icons, logo design, and the ongoing project. These are the things that it will help you to make yourself being in an arranged position. Like when somebody asks you, give me something that, like, show us something that you've done, then you're in a position to find your work, like, or your project in a way, in a manner that it is directly. You don't have to took a lot of time going here to know where they are. So folders position you in a professional, like it put you in a professional manner. Remember that when you have an organized workspace, then that means that you are a brand designers. They organize everything, and that is why they, most of them, they deliver fast and they look more professional. Then you need to know about the layer panel. Like when you are creating something, elements to overlap badly disappear. They click 20 times, then they look elements, rename critical separated. So your design becomes clear. The fate of your frustration of the guides. This is the one of the most underrated features in Canvas. Like guides, they help you able to add guides. You must use guides to define the margin, safe zones in your canvas, alignment, logo spacing rules, all of it look clean place. It's because we're not using guides. Then we have the sidebar, like the sidebar. We have interface of the Canva. There's a part that we have the sidebar. It includes both the elements, the upload, designers, they search in the invitation. Instead of searching a blue shape, they search for something that it is abstract. Like they search for the thing different from beginners. Instead of searching blue shape, you may search something like an organic texture overlay. Okay, so when or an edit bit minimal design, minimal premium editable brand frames or geometrical editable brand frames. So the Canva system itself, it can able to filter or sort out that when it comes to the sidebar of the element and other. Okay, so you must be able to save your project whenever you are working. You must have save styles, and this is the secret weapon. As you design, you may have save your font styles. You may save color combination. This will help you to keep the brand identity. Slowly, that it is sure. Okay, this gives you a position. If you're a designer too, you must be able to understand the keyboard. Keep like brand design. They don't run icons for everything, but we use shortcuts. Some important note, there are some important ones like control cascade. It gives you a quick link. And what about you are grouping an element? Shift and arrow. Then what does it mean? It proves that you are moving faster. So you must be able to understand this keyboard shortcut one by one. Okay. So you must be able to know that it saves you a lot of time mastering keyboard shortcuts. It has saved me a lot of time That's what I'm telling you, that it saves you a lot of time. And this is where the part where many designers, they say, like many beginners, didn't even know that Canva could do all this. But once you understand the interface like a designer, the interface, the main part of it on the homepage, then fundamentals again, you must able to know before designing. And jump before we jump into colors, font layouts, or Canva magic, we need to talk about something extremely important here. And because here's the truth, you cannot design a brand you really don't understand. Can you design something that you really don't understand? Or can you build a house that this point I need to have my bathroom. At this point I want to have my swimming pool. So you cannot design something that you don't understand, because your design is only as strong as the clarity is behind it. So brand design is not about making things pretty. It is about making things clear, making things so intentional. So I've said that you can never design something that you don't understand. You must have a well-grounded concept when it comes to that particular field. It should be able to make things clear, intentional, and aligned with the as per business identity or what you have been told. So in this section, we are going to break down the fundamentals and the real brand designers use before creating anything. And before you create something, you must be able to understand the brand purpose. What is the brand purpose? Like, why the behind the brand? What does the brand really offers? Like, every brand exists for a reason. And if you don't know the reason, your design will feel directionless. First, ask, why does this brand exist? Like, what problem am I trying to solve? Or what problem does it solve? Or what problem does my brand want to solve? And what changes does it want to create? These are the things you must be able to ask when you are given this. And what does it, which, like, what value does it bring? So example, I like to use examples so as you can grasp a concept whenever I'm talking about this. I like to explain my things in a human way. So a skincare brand, I'll use a skincare brand, might exist to promote natural beauty. Uh, a skincare brand might exist to promote a natural beauty and self-care. But what about a fitness trainer? A fitness trainer exists to bring transformation and confidence. So these are the things you might say. What value does it bring? Okay, what does cafe bring? A cafe, it exists to provide comfort and a friendly mood, or a friendly mood. So that is it. So what about a fintech app? It brings about clarity and convenience. This is why it becomes the emotional compass of that brand identity. Then we have the brand personality. The second most important factor you must be able to consider, brand personality. Who the brand will be as woman. This is the one of the most powerful concept in branding. Ask, if this brand was a person, how would they behave? Are they elegant or energetic? They should be serious or playful, bold or calm. So the brand purpose, the brand personality, or the brand personality. Let me say it's just the brand personality. Is the brand personality serious or it is playful? Is the brand personality bold or calm? Is the brand personality so luxurious or affordable? Minimal or expressive? So these are the things you must be able to know. Then your font, colors, shapes, and layout must match this personality. For example, I'll use another example. Like a luxury brand will use serif fonts, a luxury brand. It may be like to use serif fonts, high contrast, black, white tones, and larger spacing because it is a luxury brand. But what about a cafe? What does that a cafe would likely to use when it comes to matching its personality? A friendly cafe, it may use warm colors to attract people, rounded fonts, some organic shapes. So you know when it comes to cafe, you must be able to create something that it really attracts people. And what about a tech startup? A tech startup, it might use some geometrical elements, Bruton to keep trust. This is the first one. And some modern sans serif fonts. So as your design maybe have something unique. So design become 10 times easier when you define the personality first. Then the third thing you must be able to know is your target audience. Who are you speaking to? This is the thing you must be able to know. If you design for everyone, then you design for no one. If you design for everyone, you design for no one. Before creating anything, you must ask, who is this brand serving? What are the age group of this brand that are people? What gender? What is the gender of my target audience? Then what about the lifestyle? Their income level? What do they like? Like what are their interests? And what are their pain points? Expectation. What do they really expect from my brand? So if you are, I use example, if your audience is older and professional, then clean design, strong contrast and clarity, then fits this definitely. But if your audience or your like if your audience is young and creative, then you must involve some playful layouts, bright colors, and experimental typography. So brand designers, they design for humans and not for themselves. Okay. The fourth thing you was able to know, that is brand values. This is another one, the pillar of consistency. Remember that value guides like the brand values. This is the pillar of consistency. So value guide, they guide how the brand should look and feel. Thank you, Erastus. And example, look, I like to use examples. Transparency, like clean layout, simple lines, and what about reliability? We have strong contrast, stable shapes, and what about creativity? So this is the example you need to know. My brand values. What does my brand values really want? Like like it should guide something. If my brand value is about creativity, then I must get something that it is creative. Like if my brand is like vibrant colors, I should use vibrant colors, unique composition. These are the things you need to know. Then what about if my brand is calm? Calm. Okay. I like to use like soft tones, rounded elements, something of the sort like that of the cafe. Something like that. Calm, cool, evil. And what about the luxury? If my brand, like my value of my brand is luxury, then I must involve the high contrast, minimal layouts, and some elegant typography. So your design must visually communicate to those values. When you know the value, you never design blindly again. So you must be able to know the brand differentiation. You must be able to differ your brand or something, or what makes the brand to stand out. This is another one. The fifth factor to consider, brand differentiation. What makes the brand to stand out? Number one, this is where the Canva user, they fail short. They copy trends. You can never copy trends and expect to stand out in the modern market. How? Then you must be able to use your generic fonts. You must be able to pick colors that not everyone is using. So this is the thing you must be able to know. But a real brand designer asked, what makes this brand designer from others? What do they make this brand different from others? Maybe their tone, their voice, their color palette, their typography choices that they have chosen, their story, mission, and maybe their customer experience, which is the mostly used the customer experience. So you must be able to play to their unique strength. Example, if everyone in the industry uses blue, maybe your brand uses as a deep green. Then if everyone uses that serif font that you have used, then maybe a brand uses a geometric sans serif font. So you must be able to understand that when you are different, you are memorable. If everyone in the industry uses blue, then maybe your brand uses deep green. So the other brand that uses blue, the other brand that uses deep green. So if everyone uses serif font, then maybe a designer could use sans serif font. So you must be able to get yourself in a different manner. Your brand is able to position it in a manner that is different from others. Then you must be able to explain your brand story. This is what people actually they don't actually connect with. What is your brand story? A brand without a story has no emotional connection. This is the thing you must be able to know, that a brand without a story has no emotional connection. And a designer, your job is to translate this job visually. You are a like you are a designer. Then you must be able to translate this story visually. Story at times can be personal. Story at times can be cultural. Story at times can be mission driven or inspired by someone, inspired by a problem, inspired by nature, and maybe inspired by a transformation somewhere. So you may find like a coffee brand might have a story that is rooted in a community and home. Like it must be inspired by something. Okay, and what about a cloth brand? A cloth brand may be inspired by African patterns, the patterns of clothing. Then what about a tech company? It might be built around speed and efficiency. So your visual must reflect the story. What about the brand tone? Like this is another thing. The seventh factor to consider, brand tone, like or brand voice. This is how the brand speaks. It affects the typography and the layout. If the tone is bold, what does it mean? This means to be large or a strong contrast. If your tone is professional, then it is clean, structured, and balanced. So typography is the voice of design. Typography is the main thing you must be able to know. Design. Okay, so brand design, brand should be consistent, and this is the most important rule. Remember that consistency it usually beats creativity. So let me tell you the truth. Every designer must understand that consistency beats creativity, and people should trust what they recognize. So your brand must be consistent when it comes to colors. Your brand must be consistent when it comes to fonts. Your brand must be consistent when it comes to spacing. Your brand must be consistent when it comes to imagery styles, shapes, layout, and voice. So even if you create 50 designs, they should all look the same, came from the same brand. That is how people start to remember with. So translating these fundamentals into Canva. Another one. So when you are translating these fundamentals into Canva, then this way you connect everything. Brand purpose, it influences why your visual exists. What about personality? It influences fonts, color, shapes. What about audience? Audience influence clarity, styles, and even shapes. So values, another one. It influences layout and structure. So these are the things you must be able to know. Then this is why you may find that brand designers they make better designs than 99% of Canva users. So we don't start with the creativity, we start with the clarity. And once you have clarity, Canva becomes super easy. Not easy, but Canva becomes super easy because every choice becomes intentional. And when I'm and now that you have understand the foundation, the next step is creating the visual direction of the brand. This is where the mood board comes in, and I'm going to show you how brand designers they create professional mood boards inside Canva, step by step. And before we touch even Canva, let me get something straight to the point. Most people they don't treat like most people who use Canva they treat it like a poster generator, and that is totally wrong. At some point it may be yes, but not really recommended. And if I'll excuse you if you are a beginner because most you cannot use Canva or treat it like a Canva like a poster generator or an element marketplace, but you must be able to use it as a shortcut to design or just a template editing app. But the real brand design they use tools and not any tools. You must be able to use tools with a completely different mindset. Today I want to break down three things that separate these real designers from a template editors because you once understand this and Canva stop being just in Canva and become a true weapon of design. So remember that real brand designers they think in system, not just in elements. So if you're a beginner ask, which element should I add? Designers ask, what system am I building? And a system means a typographic structure, a space You must have a style of direction and a repeatable pattern when you're referring to that consistency. So if they think of it like a beginner who chooses a random elements until it looks okay, or a designer who follow a system so everything always look intentional. That's why you can spot a professional design instantly. Then what about the alignment? The alignment, the spacing, typography, and the visual voice, it all feels like they belong together. And in Canva, remember that your system is just like your superpower. And today I'm going to show you at most Canva users they never leave the templates tab. You find them they are there to search. They love templates tab. They design, and that is purely wrong. But designers they don't start with templates. You must start with strategy by defining who is the brand, who is the audience, what target, well, like my audience, my targeting audience, and what emotion am I needed to communicate? What problem am I solving? And one message must be clear in 3 seconds so as you don't bore your audience. So when you bring strategy into Canva, suddenly your layout become cleaner. Your typography may become sharper and your color choices at times may become intentional. So your design should tell a story. It should tell a story. But you must use templates as a reference, not just the final design of your matter. Okay? And then you are getting something. So remember that real designers they master. You may tell me if you're able to grasp something talking about the chat box. Okay, so real designers or the real brand builders or the brand designers, they master typography, but Canva users they avoid it. So typography is the biggest giveaway of a fake designer. You can use the same font as a pro and still make the design look amateur. Why? Because typography is about contrast, hierarchy, like the spacing. All those things involves typography. Typography is a very larger field and it involved contrast, being contrast, it involves hierarchy, involves spacing, weight, everything, the tone of the brand, the scale of the rhythm of the brand. And in Canva, the most people they forget about this, making them use so many fonts, using so many random sizes, mix bold and thin colors, use decorative fonts. They don't understand the negative space. And today we'll be able to fix all that. And I will show you how to build at least a two-font brand system and use size ratios like a pro. So make any design feel premium with the spacing tone. So remember that real designers, you must be able to master colors. But if you're able to master color is a psychology. You must be able to know that color is not just favorite color. Color is a psychology and the brand identity and visual identity. Colors is what really communicate to everything. And it may look nice, but designers they should let it understand warm and cool, color roles, those things, the brand emotion, and all over that. So you must be able to know that if you're a real designer, you must don't place things at once. Like you don't compose things, you don't overexpose, and this is the different biggest, like it is the biggest difference of all. Anyone can place element, anyone can place element, but composition, the intentional arrangement of visual arrangement is the design. Design is it. It is design is the balance, design is the direction, design is the space, hierarchy, flows, and the focal points. a bit look expensive. Expensive. So by the time of this live stream, it will be ending. You won't just be using Canva. You remember that you'll be designing the same mindset, like discipline. And the real brand design they use there. Whenever you are on Canva or any Adobe product or any Adobe Creative Cloud, because the tool, remember that the tool does that, it does not make you a designer, but the designer make the tool to be so powerful. Okay. So if you are building yourself a brand mode, like I tell you that you need to start this thing from scratch. Building a brand mood board like a design, like a real designer, with using only Canva, like a professional designer. So before you create logo, or before you choose font, or before you touch those layout, a professional brand designers always create a mood board. And most canvas the users they usually skip this step. If you cannot create a mood board, then you'll be forgetting about the brand identity of your client. So you must always create a mood board or the sketching of your design. So don't skip this step, because if you go straight into design blindly, then that's where you're getting things wrong. You must be get yourself in a chaotic manner. You get yourself, you sketch this thing, mood boarding, you do a lot of research when it comes to that. That's what we refer to that as mood board. But brand designers, we build the vision before execution. We build something fast from the ground. Then we export it into our editing software. So today I'm going to show you create a mood board is inside Canva that will look something like agency meant that it will position you in a greater place. So, how do you create a clean mood board? Using, like, we are trying to create a clean mood board layout using Canva. We are trying to show that all of us are beginner. So most people they drag random image. You may drag random images into the page, and that is not mood board. That is like you're doing image collection or image college. And a real mood board, it should have some various components like spacing, discipline, a clear grid, a visual hierarchy, clean margin. That is, these are the basics and the fundamentals of a real mood board. And at least the real mood board should have at least 6 to 10 carefully chosen reference and some labels and section. So once you get inside yourself into Canva, you may create something from scratch. From scratch, I'll try as much as possible to get a version of it explained in a practical manner. I creating this thing inside Canva, opening, adding those guides, drawing rectangles, doing all of that. Then we leave the breathing room or the space. Then we may add some small label text like colors, typography, feel, logo inspiration, brand, and emotion. So we'll get into that. Don't worry, I will create another version of it so as you can able to know whatever I'm trying to explain this. Okay, so your mood board should already feel like a design before any system, before any images were added, and this alone will make you look like a serious designer. And here is where beginners they usually mess up. You will find that beginners they search Pinterest with random keywords, like they have not done enough research when it comes to the field. So they mix too many styles. They call it that design, and definitely that is not what we call design. They choose images that look nice, but they don't support brand strategy. So what about a real designer? We have been talking on the we have been using the analogy of a real designer and a canvas here. He comes to he reflects the personality to reflect that what the brand should stand for, the design styles, market positioning, all those. And I will not forget the target audience because that's the most important thing. You cannot create something that belongs to the children. You good. Like every must have a it you want. So you must professional level. Mostly I use Pinterest or Pinterest. It is best for styles and vibes. It positions you in a really placed manner. Then we have Behance. This is another one. And these are softwares. The other thing I usually use, like I like to follow my competitor brands, so as I can able to know what are they using that they are positioning themselves to the point they are. Okay, so the best designers they don't just copy, they reference the energy. So you must don't just copy, but you must reference the energy. Okay, so step three, you must build the color direction. Most beginners they choose colors at the end. They choose colors like this beginner they may find them they are choosing colors at the end, but professional they must choose colors at the beginning. They choose the color palette they are going to use because color evoke emotion. And if you are doing this, you must be able to know that colors really evoke emotion. So this makes your mood board look extremely professional and intentional. So you may add some typography direction. So, and this is usually big, and we are not choosing the exact font yet. We are choosing the same style of font. This is what real designers do. When it comes to the typography direction, what do really designers do? They try to choose something that is so minimal, elegant, playful, that it will communicate a message in a simpler manner and in a professional way, not just something that is over cluttered and it really doesn't have a message to communicate. Okay, so you must another thing you must able to is adding at least you must add some graphic or a lifestyle imagery it to create some brand emotions. This is where your brand feel and it may come alive. And at this point, And at this point, this is where your brand feel and comes alive. And these images should be able to know the personality, the target audience, the environment, the lifestyle, all those things you must be able to know. And this example, like a luxury skincare brand, usually use they should use some soft textures, and the source soft textures, beige tones, some elegant curves. They use they should use some because most Gen Z they find them they love these things street styles and some and so what about natural food brand like a food brand? A food brand they should at least use some green colors and some warm tones and a bit of organic textures. These emotional cues, I like to call it emotional cues. They guide every design on a decision later. Okay, so this emotional kit it guide every decision later. Okay, so those are the power of colors. You should be able to add some design element and some structure, inspiration, and this is advanced. This is the advanced part. A professional mood board it should include a minimal logo, like a minimal logo some layout examples, grid styles that it has been used, and some pattern ideas, packaging reference, all those things, and illustration style. So you must be able to show it like Yes, and here is the hype. You may find that there's a type of icon. Think of it like a brand. Think of it like it fits the brand. Then we have another pattern direction, and this is where where we use data in brand college in the brand formation in brand college. Remember that client love this because it shows thought, direction, and expertise in your field. It will position you in a greater place whenever you have a professional, creating a professional mood board. Okay, so a mood board is not a decoration; it is the foundation. A mood board is not just a decoration; it is the foundation. It is the foundation of your entire design system. And if you get things part right, everything else, logos, colors, fonts, and even layout, it will become 100 times more easier for you. Okay, so I like to talk about typography, the typography masterclass in Canva. Canva, like typography, these are things you must be able to know. You must have a concept about it. And when I'm referring to typography, typography master, like this section of typography is the most important skill in brand design. Very, very important. And we'll not only talk about logos, we'll not only talk about colors, we will not only talk about so many things, but we'll talk about strictly typography. What is typography? And or what do most beginners think about typography? So I will be more I'll explain this so you can able to grasp a concept. Typography is like most designer beginners will think like typography is just choosing fonts for the project that they are using. But the real designers know that typography is the language of the project. Yes, the typography is the language of a project. So it should communicate personality, hierarchy, tone, and clarity. So that is the typography. It should communicate your personality, your hierarchy, and your clarity. So today I'll teach you exactly how to control that typography inside Canva like a professional brand designer, and not as a beginner. So let's get to it. You're able to understand the role of each font, and this font it usually changes everything. Understanding this it change saves you a lot because a real brand, like a real brand, it never uses fonts randomly. Remember that each font has a job, and yes, each font has a job, and there are three roles like display fonts. It is like there are three mains of types of when I'm referring to the fonts. The heading font, the display font, like or I'll start explaining by the headlines, what's in newspapers. This is the headline fonts. This is the personality of the brand. So and the brand tone. So it should reflect the brand character, be it friendly, be it bold, elegant, modern, minimal, and playful. So that's the power of the heading or the display font. Then what about the body font? Like optional flavor. Yes, this is the optional flavor. Like you may consider having it, but it's not really that wonderful. But you can use it for in a sparingly manner. You can use it as a spare, maybe for quotes, maybe for headers or footers, and some subtitles highlight or some callouts. So accent font must never be over, and it must never overpower your original, or it must never overpower your main fonts. Okay, so the perfect font pairing or formula I will share with you the perfect font pairing formula, designer secret you can teach your audience. Like I want to explain you to so you can able to know the perfect font pairing formula. You must able to use the same fonts that are of the same family, but it has different weights. You may use a font that is modern. Then the accent or a spare color we have used the same family, but it has different weight. So what is because it has a message that really communicate well when it comes to this typography, when it comes to understanding the perfect formula for color. Okay, so the part two you must be able to know when it comes to that, when it comes to font choosing, or the perfect way of choosing the fonts so as it can communicate well to your design is you must be able to choose a font that is elegant and the balanced one. At the heading you may use player play display, which when it comes to creating posters, flare play display. The body you may use Lato, then the accent you may use player for italic. Wait, and it is suitable mostly find it used in luxury brands because of the of its bold feature, and the beauty brands and some editorial style sans and soft sun, like strong sun serif, like strong sun and soft sun. So this is the another most youthful love this. It is so aesthetic. So it has some leaks pattern. Like you may use the headline, you may use as a leaks pattern. Then the body you may use DM sans, and then the spare colors you may use sans serif, like sun that is medium. It is perfect for lifestyle, fashion brands, fashion and clothing brand, and Gen Z brand because it is a youthful one. So you must when you're trying to combine this color, when you're trying to use this color, you must not combine this color. You must use decorative font plus decorative font. You must not combine this color. How can you combine decorative font plus decorative font? The output will not be much that really communicating well. Then we have the script. Like imagine you have used a script font or a handwritten font, starting from the heading to the footer. Will it really communicate something? Handwritten font, really? It doesn't work like that. Okay? So the other thing you have is typography hierarchy. Make your text look expensive. And most Canva users they use random sizes like you must find them they use random size like 12, 14, 16, 18, something over there. But what about professional? They use ratios. And professional like this ratio system is you may find yourself using a title in the title a larger font. A subtitle you may find you are using around maybe your heading you have used 96 pixels. Then your subtitle should have used about 48 pixels or subheading. Then your body 24 pixels. So these are the professional designers how they try to use when it comes to font. Then they have tried to put their caption to make it around 18. Okay, so that is how the ratio they like to use. Then the spacing, the secret ingredient. The secret ingredient here. Typography is not just about font choice. It is about the letter spacing. Do you make your design to breathe? Does your brand like does your design really breathe? Then we have another one, paragraph spacing, and there's some margins, and here the golden rules. We have the line weight, headline, all of these things, the data spacing. For uppercase, you may consider be having, like for uppercase titles, at least of pixel of 1 to 4. About the body text, you may space it in a manner that is slightly negative. And what about for bold fonts? It is neutral to one, at least neutral there, neutral or negative one. So white space is everything. So if a design feels that crowded or cheap, it's not about your font, it is your spacing. And white space is luxury. Keep that in mind. That white space is luxury, and the cheap design, they are really crowded and did not position you stand out in the market. Remember that expensive design, they breathe. They breathe well, okay? So that's all about I was talking when it comes to that. So we were able to talk about the spacing, the typography, and all that. So when we want to, like, let me conclude that part about the typography. Your typography, your design may be and instantly more. This is exactly how real and brand designers make, just by using Canva design. Canva design look like a high budget engine's work. Okay, so we must be able to color master. Then we have the color mastery. We have really talked about how to master color in a professional manner, both as a beginner and as a professional level, or someone who really understands what is design all about. Okay, then I'd like to talk about the professional palette step. Like, how do you choose based on brand personality? Like, how do you choose your design brand personality? The other one you have beige. Like, when you are creating something that is aesthetic, which is brand like fashion, fashion and clothing, and skincare, they mostly like to use aesthetic designs a lot. Then you have the modern bold. Like, at what point can you consider using modern bold palettes? Maybe for tech, maybe for modern startups, and some youthful brand. They prefer to use this one because it has some deep tones and some accent that are very in high contrast. Okay, so those are the things you must have when it comes to connection of how you having a color palette that truly match something about your color palette, or something like about your colors when it comes to the color palette. So we have to know about the color proportion. This is the secret to premium design. Where Canva users, they make their biggest mistake when it comes to color proportion. Imagine you are using all the colors equally. Real designers, they apply colors in ratios like this. Like, you may find your color should be it should be in ratios. Like primary, you should have at least 50% or 60%. Then you should be having a neutral color about 30%. Then accent color of 10%, or a supplementary color of 10%. So a brand with black, white, and gold, what should they use? If your brand has a black color, black, gold, and white, you may use black as your main color or a primary color with 60%. You may use white as your neutral color with 30%, and gold with 10% as your accent or a supplementary color. And this is why you may find that luxury brands, they usually look expensive because the gold is usually used minimally. So how to use colors in Canva layout? How do you use these colors in Canva layout? We have background. Whenever you are creating something, it should have a background, and you must have don't use the brightest color as the background unless the brand demands that boldness. Okay, when you are creating a background, your background should not that shiny, and it should not use the that brightness color because it does not really communicate well unless the brand really demand that. Then we have the headline. Because you avoid those pure harshness like to your work. Never use more than Canva colors a trick that every designer should know. So there are some tricks I would like you to know once you're starting yourself into Canva. You may use transparency to add depth, to add salt into your design. So these are the things that it will make you to look pro. Like these are the tricks you need to know. It will make you like a pro in your field. Use transparency to add depth. And these tricks you'll never find it anywhere. It's just that I've decided to break it down so as you can able to grasp a concept. Then you may use as a filter, it is called duotone filter for image harmony. It makes your photo like it makes photos to match your color palette. Or you can still use shadow to blur to soft aesthetics. You may use at least blur. It creates that a modern diffused glow comes to design. You may add yourself a dark overlay to improve the text visibility. This one is it's a game changer. You must consider that when working to a design. You may use a brand kit to save your palette. This is another one. You must be able to with your design. So, expert advice. Like I like to give you an advice, and remember that the color is not just a survival. Color it is strategic. A real brand designer doesn't choose colors by chance, but they choose colors for purpose, or they choose color by purpose. When you control colors, like when you control colors, consider that when it comes to color, color is just a strategic move you're making for the brand company to be positioned themselves in the position to be. Okay, I'm sure you're getting something when it comes to color. We have really talked about color and typography today, but these are the core, the fundamentals, and the basics you need to understand when it comes to color design. Okay, so layout and composition. This is the masterclass. Another banger coming here. Layout and the composition. How to make Canva design to look premium. How do you make your Canva design to look premium? By using of only layout and composition. How? So, alright designers, now that you have mastered the typography and color, it is time for real magic. Then this is the another one, layout and composition. And because even with the perfect fonts and colors, a messy layout will even ruin everything. So most Canva users, they just drag and drop element randomly. But professional brand designers, they work with purpose, balance, and rhythm. So today I'm going to show you how to arrange elements in text like a pro using Canva so you can design instantly. Able to understand the core principles of the first either in center, either on edge. The second thing is proximity. Another factor to consider when understanding the layout. Like or close, let me use proper English, close. Like related element should stay close. When you talk about that, then another thing comes hierarchy. Or the viewers, like the viewers to get yourself into a white space, the rule of white and headlines with breathing and you should don't overcrowd your images and icons in an evenly distributed manner. So if the design feels empty, remember to divide your canvas into a dimension of 3 by 3 so as you can place your main focal points along those lines of intersection. Okay, this is another one you need to know. The visual and boldest. What about the subheading? Subheading. What about the body? The body should be smallest. So these are the things you need to know. Our balance. Is your balance symmetrical or asymmetrical? When your balance is symmetrical, that means it is classic, stable. What about when your balance is asymmetrical? It means that whenever your balance is asymmetrical, then that means it will grab so it's the viewer. But what about a layout? It guides the viewer for composition. Like there's the tools you can able to use for composition. You may use position like position forward or backward. It stack elements correctly. So these are the tools for composition. You may align yourself in a left manner, set and center, sorry, and middle. It is perfectly for aligning object. Then you may in a maybe reach horizontally or vertically, even spacing for multiple objects. Okay, then you must learn how to group your elements. You move it one as a one unit. Okay, then locking of your element. Keep important element in one place, and so as it helps you to avoid that accidental shift in your design. So always work in section, always work in section, and always work in group together. This is a gold mine. You must be able to know about that. Okay. So how do you create premium this? Creating a premium layout using Canva element. How do you create a premium layout using Canva element? Pro designers think in layers and depth. Layers and depth. Like they try to make the background layer to be soft, neutral, gradient, or texture. What about the middle layer? That is the main image or the product or illustration. So you must consider that. What about our top headline, like our top layer? Our top layer, this is where we get our heading, our subheading, our logo, and our call to action. So you must add some drop shadows, text of images. So your design may feel like it is a three-dimensional and it may be look like it is expensive. So using grids and shape and flame, it saves you a lot of time. Okay. Then the other thing is you must be able to use geometric shapes. It guides the eye on or separate action. Try to use these transparent rectangles. This is like transparent rectangles. This is another one. It overlay like it is used for overlay text on images without losing that readability. It makes that image not just clutter on. So I'll give you some advanced professional tips. Designer, if you get yourself in such a manner, so you must have to stick to 2 to 3 main layout styles per branch. Okay, so you may reuse grids and spacing system just for faster workflow. You may test multiple variation and see which is the best. Keeping important info that is above the fold. Keep review designs in the full screen before finalizing. Okay, first professional. You must say everything you must be able to know about. So I would like to use an example like a real example, live in a demo or using Canva software because that was my main point, like main focus point for today. You will take one of your previous mood board, apply typography rules, apply color palette, then apply grid and alignment rules. Then try to rearrange those images to match flow and hierarchy. We group them and align to get to the finalized layout. So this is one of the steps that will instantly turns basic Canva template into design that will look like it came from a high-end agency, but you have created using your own, like you have created by your own. Okay. So remember that professional layout is not about adding more elements. It is about arranging what you have, be it from clarity, flow, and purpose. So building brand, like if you're building, what makes your brand feel premium if you're on that Canva. So that is what it makes, arranging that things to be in clarity, flow, and purpose. So, all right, designers, now that you have taken everything that you have learned, and we have talked about the branding fundamentals, the mood boards, the color typography, and we have talked about the layout structure and how to turn platform. Okay, so what are the brand assets you need to know? When it comes to brand asset, you must be able to know that these are all the visual tools and a brand uses consistently. Okay, so you may have logos, be it primary, secondary, or icon. Then we have the color palettes, typography styles, image style, the stock photos that you use. Okay, then we have the templates. What is the templates? Like these are the pre-built layouts that uses this asset, but they're ready to adapt, like Instagram posts and stories. Okay, so consider that. Think about that. So think of this like this example. Think of this like your design library. Once it is featured and it is consistent. Okay, so these are the brand asset. The brand asset number two, set up your brand kit. Canva brand kit, but it is mostly found in Canva Pro. If you are a really serious, you may get yourself a Canva Pro. You may upload your brand logos, set up some brand colors, set up some brand fonts, and it will save you a lot of time because Canva Pro is another advanced tool. And every new project, stay consistent. You never guess the colors of font. You save just it will help you to save 5 to 10 times more time on future design or learning something new. Okay, so how do you like that thing or a brand asset number three is creating social media templates step by step. You may choose a format and apply some brand parent. When you are creating a social media template, this is where you choose your format. You apply a brand palette, then the typography and the layout rules. It helps you to add placeholders for text and images, and it will help you to save as a reusable template. Okay, so if you are a pro, you may use this for consistent spacing and margin. Okay, then remember to use call to action buttons consistently a lot. Use subtitles, geometric shapes to make your design true. It will have and it makes your design to be clear. Okay. What about creating templates? You may design on slide ratio of about 16 to point mostly used in presentation. You may say content slide, image slide, all of them. Apply brand colors, typography, hierarchy, and some consistency layout. You include all those things there. So when that's presentation, then you may use guide like grid guides for alignment and reusable elements like icons, presentation slides. They tell a story, not just they hold. The last but not the least, the marketing asset. Professional brands they always need flyers. They often need posters. They often need brochures. They often need business cards. They often need email headers. So inside Canva, apply a layout system, and I do like you may get yourself one flyer template for multiple campaigns. You choose image, headlines, and then you edit it into minutes. Boom, ready things in minutes. So that's the advantage of using Canva because you was able to know that a real like these professional brands they often need these things a lot. Okay, so what about maintaining consistency across platforms? How do you maintain consistency across the platforms? Here's the key. It will separate you from pros and the ones that are beginner. Having the same font, having the same colors, having the same logo, the spacing in all design. So templates are not one-off; they form a cohesive brand system. Every post, flyers, and presentation feel like it is from the same brand. Mm. So by now, I'm sure you have learned how to able to know what about the brand asset in our live stream for today. So I'd like to wrap up the session because we have come a long way today. I'm sure that you have learned how to think like a brand designer. You have been able to build how to build, like you're able to learn how to build grand mood boards that guides your design, how to master typography, hierarchy, and spacing. You have been able to learn how to create these color palettes that communicate emotion and how to compose layouts like a pro. So, how to turn these reusable Canva templates as a pro again. So, by the end of this slide, you're not just someone clicking for elements on Canva, you're someone designing the purpose, strategy, and clarity. Okay, so you must be able to have some takeaways before we end the stream. That clarity, remember that clarity comes first, and I always define brand purpose, your audience, personality, and values before touching Canva. You may get yourself mood board. Mood board is every decision should connect to your mood board. Everything that you think should usually involves in your mood board. Then you have the typography and the color are more than aesthetics. They communicate personality, heritage, and some of emotion. So layout tell a story. A professional layout guides the viewer's eye. Okay, so think about that. Then remember that templates save time and it ensures consistency a lot. Remember that, remember that consistency beats creativity without direction. So I'm opening the field for the question. If you have any field for the question, then before signing off, you may try to create something that a brand mood board today. So remember that Canva is just a tool, but the skill is you. The strategy, clarity, and intention are what separate a casual creator from a professional designer. Okay, so consistency, intentionality, and practice equals mastery. So if you commit yourself to applying to these steps every week, in 30 days, you'll have designs that are in high end, premium, and client ready. So thank you for joining me for this. This has been an amazing 1.5 hour today. And I'm sure if you have learned something like in this live stream, share it, comment below, and don't forget to save your templates. And I'll be back next time with another live session. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell button, and keep practicing your brand design skills every day. Okay? So see you in the next live stream. You may stay inspired, stay intentional, and keep designing like a pro. Okay? We've get ourselves to the end of the session. So I wish you a good night.